Hey, everybody. Hey, you've got your Flock of Seagulls shirt on.
That's right. It's got all the fucking...
You haven't worn that in a while.
It's got all the fucking Seagulls on it.
I think I got him that for his birthday or something one year.
Yeah.
That's a funny ass
All the
shirt.
Stevens.
Yeah. I wonder if he's mad about that. Probably. He seems like that seems like something he'd be mad about.
Yeah. It's like, that band sucks.
They don't suck though. They're actually a good band. Flock of Seagulls are. But yeah, hey everybody, it's movie time. So as I said, we had a big long list of movies that we had wanted to do and that people had recommended. Like I said, I know we've been talking about doing Talented Mr. Ripley, and then we didn't do it for like a couple weeks because we went and saw new movies. And then like last night, I was looking at all the ones that people recommended, and I was actually kind of looking for the ones that were on streaming services that we had, like that we didn't have to pay for, like to do those first. And so last night I said to Tom, I said, well, we can either do Single White Female, which is on Max, or we can do 10 to Midnight, the Charles Bronson movie, which I think is on Amazon Prime for free. And because I was like, I'll watch either one of those because they're both good. And he didn't really want to watch the Charles Bronson one, and he had never seen Single White Female. We were kind of in the mood for some 90s erotic thriller. Mm-hmm. So here we are. I think I saw Single White Female in the theater, and I probably saw it 3 or 4 times subsequently.
I saw it on VHS. I remembered it when I saw it. But, the little details I forgot.
Oh, so you had seen it. Okay.
I had seen it,
So I thought you had.
There were certain things about it that I remembered, but I didn't really remember the story or anything. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. Yeah. It was a good movie. Good movie. Very much a movie of its time.
Mm.
What I liked about it is that it had cute girls in it, and they showed them naked quite often.
There's a lot of nudity in this. I had forgotten how much nudity there was in this movie.
And just like in the 90s, man, fucking Lesbo was big, man. It was like lesbian.
Well, so it's interesting you say that because this came out in 1992.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was kind of a little mini boom, if you want to call it that, in like psycho woman thrillers, which I think kind of started with Fatal Attraction because that was like late 80s. That was 87 or something like that. And then you had shit like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle with Rebecca De Mornay, which is great, by the way. I really like that one. Basic Instinct. Yeah. What was some of the other ones? There was one called The Crush with Alicia Silverstone. I think that came out a little bit after this.
And a bunch of lesbian stuff started to come out around this time.
Yeah, so
bands.
This movie has actually been called lesbophobic.
Yeah.
But which I can see that. But I will say though that I think that I don't know. I feel like the character that Jennifer Jason Leigh plays in this, I don't know if her obsession with Bridget Fonda's character is necessarily sexual. There is like a sexual component to it, but it almost seems like she just wants to be her, kind of, or like take over her identity. I think there is a sexual component to it, but it doesn't really strike me as like the main thing. Like it's almost like she wants to take over, or I think because of the whole thing with her having a twin, like when she was a kid, like she kind of wants that connection with somebody that's just like the same as her, like more than anything.
Well, they set that up. That's a factor. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's like a lesbian movie. The villain in it is lesbian. And she's in love with this chick. She's trying to get rid of her. The other chick's trying to get rid of her. I wouldn't say it's lesbophobic. It's just... It's a good story.
Honestly, probably Jennifer Jason Leigh's character. I don't even really know if they specify. She strike me as more bi. But...
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But
go either way.
Phantom says, poor puppy. Oh my god. I forgot. Because that in a thriller... As soon as an animal is introduced, a cute animal, something bad's going to happen to that. And I'm just like, and like I said, just my stomach clenches. And I'm just like, the older I get, I don't give a shit how many people die in movies. Like, because people suck. And I'm just like, kill them. But like, you have a cute little puppy or kitty or something like that in a movie. And I'm just like, no. And honestly, I forgot how fucking horrible the scene where the puppy dies, you guys, where the puppy dies in this, oh my god. And I was just like, and I wasn't drinking or anything, and like I watched it and that scene came on and I was like, oh no, and I was like, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, you guys. It was like, oh my god, it was so bad. And I forgot about that fucking scene.
Yeah. I thought it was a good movie. It's a good story. It's very much a thing of the 90s, but it holds up well. There's nothing in it real annoying that kind of like throws you out of the movie. Like everything kind of keeps you into the flick. The edit I thought was tight. It's very direct. It's not trying to be too artsy. it's just a standard flick. Hero in the movies, friendly gay guy. You think he gets killed, but he ends up saving her at the end.
I kind of love that. And honestly, I think, really, if I remember correctly, movies in the 80s and early 90s still very much had, like, over-the-top, like, sassy gay stereotype characters.
Yeah, this guy's not
But
so
this
much.
guy was just, like, a regular guy.
Regular guy,
And I think that's attributable to, because I looked it up, the guy that was the screenwriter. Now, this is based on a novel, which is a lot tamer than the movie. But the guy that adapted the novel is a gay guy. Okay. And he said, I wanted the gay guy to live, for one thing, and be like a heroic character and just be like a regular dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which was actually kind of ahead of its time for 1992.
Yeah. He did his manly duty. He fucking saved the girl.
Yeah.
But he got fucked up, though.
He was a good character.
He was, they make you think that he's dead.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah, he's dead up in the bathtub. But he's not. He comes back too. He's breathing real shallow.
And he has a cat, which I was also afraid, named Carmen. Yeah. And I was also afraid something bad would happen to the cat, but the cat's fine.
Right, yeah, the cat was good.
The cat was fine. So I was like, that's a relief.
The thing that stuck out is just how kind of the nostalgia of how cute 90s fashion was with the women. They had cute haircuts, cute clothes, cute makeup styles. They're just really attractive fashion look in the 90s. Not all of it, but a lot of it. There wasn't anything that was kind of like, it was kind of, I want to say it's kind of generic the way they dressed, but it's kind of hard to place. Some of it looked like 60s kind of. Some of it looked like a lot of it you could wear today and it wouldn't stand out.
Probably not. And can I just say that Bridget Fonda's hair in this, I hate it.
I like it.
I hate that haircut.
I like it. I remember that
I think it looks terrible.
I like that haircut. I remember.
It looks like a mushroom top.
A lot of girls had that haircut.
I know they did.
You had to have a certain kind of face for it.
Well, yeah, you had to. Well, people that are like real tall and thin, like she is or was, she's not anymore. But
yeah, she's unrecognizable now.
Like what she looked like at the time, like pretty much anything like that would look good on her. But I still think it's borderline ridiculous. And then when you get to the point where Jennifer Jason Leigh, like Hetty is her character's name, where she gets the same haircut. I'm just kind of like, it just compounds like how ridiculous that fucking haircut is. It's so ugly.
Yeah, they show Bridget nude quite a bit in this.
Yeah, and, Jennifer Jason Leigh's naked in it too. She's naked in a lot of movies though.
So I got a good look at her. Did a whole analysis. You guys know I'm into fitness and shit.
Tom's telling Jen. Tom's doing a nudity
giving my analysis. Telling Jen what the deal is.
Instead of paying attention to the plot or anything.
You could tell that she was tall and thin. She's very shapely, but it's very natural, and that's not from any kind of physical training. It was just pure genetics and diet. So she didn't really have to work for that. Ain't that sad? She was just born like that.
Well,
got that from her dad and her mom.
Genetics, she just kinda...
Yeah. And then what happens is a lot of times if a woman didn't really have to work for it to look that way, she loses it. She doesn't value it that much. But that's kind of eventually what happened to her.
Yeah, she gained a lot of weight. She's not... We saw a picture of her from a couple years back, and you wouldn't recognize her.
You never recognize her. And she's just... But she had fantastic genetics that she got from her dad. I don't know who her mom was. I think her mom was another superstar, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. You know what? Do you know what I had forgotten about? Is that Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad was Vic Morrow. I don't know that the guy. He's a very famous actor. He was the guy that very famously was killed on the set of Twilight Zone the movie by getting decapitated by the helicopter, along with the two child actors that John Landis had to go to court for and all of that.
Yeah. What's her name again?
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah.
I had forgotten. I was trying to tell you like all the movies that she'd been in because I was like, you know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She was in The Hateful Eight.
Okay, yeah. That's what I said. I was telling Jen, I was saying, she looks familiar, but I can't quite place her.
She's been in a bajillion
If I saw her as an older woman, I would recognize her. Because I know she's too young for me to actually recognize. And what's funny about this is that when you first see her, she's got dark hair. And she looks very different from Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
And then as the movie goes on, she slowly adapts and takes over Bridget Fonda's fucking fashion sense. She gets that same haircut, fucking
starts buying all her clothes or stealing
exactly
clothes. Like... she's a bit shorter, but
she's short, but she looks exactly like Bridget. I was starting to get confused.
Yeah.
I don't know if they helped. I mean, of course, makeup helps.
Yeah.
To make people look similar to each other, but.
Yeah, they did a good job, like making them like look the same.
She looked exactly the same, you know.
Because even though they don't look anything alike, really, but when they have the same hair and the same clothes and are shot in the same light and stuff like that,
same kind of clothes on,
it's amazing, like how fucking similar they look. Zach said, "Isn't there a scene in this where they go to a goth club?" Yeah,
club.
Kind of. It's like a fetish club.
Yeah.
Remember that Enigma song is playing because I was like, well, that's
Principles of Lust. So
was it? It wasn't Sadness.
No, I think it was Principles of Lust. I think.
Also, I love. Speaking of '90s and speaking of goth club stuff, is that the scene where Bridget Fonda is tied up in Graham the gay guy's apartment and she turns the TV up real loud, like to get help. You know what I mean? That was a Front 242 video.
I figured it.
Yeah, like.
And then Jennifer Jason Leigh fucking puts on this fucking outfit, those old outfits, and I said, man, that's a Sinead O'Connor dress.
Yeah, when she went full psycho.
When she went full psycho, she was dressed like Sinead O'Connor. Because if you'd grown up in the 90s, you know what they're talking about. Sinead O'Connor was a fucking lunatic.
And she had a dress just like that, but that was a very 90s. It was
a 90s thing,
thing. Like and it really only worked if you were like really little and skinny. Yeah. Like if you were fat, like that's not gonna look good on you.
They were huge, oversized little dresses.
Yeah, but you would wear like kind of like a skin tight thing like underneath it, like maybe a long sleeve shirt or whatever, and then like you'd wear like this baggy like pinafore kind of shit over it. Like I said, it really only looked good on like little bitty pixie girls. If you were like at all overweight, it looked terrible on you. It just made you look bigger.
Yeah. Pretty much any
Ask me how I know.
Pretty much any kind of clothes, any kind of big baggy clothes, you got to be skinny to wear that.
Yeah, that's kind of the only kind of person that works on.
Yeah.
So she looked good in it, but like I said, you could tell that, you know, she was kind of going that way as they were truly like she was getting crazier and crazier. I gotta say though, because Zach brought up, I wanted to mention a couple things. One, the building they shot this in, gorgeous. It's called the Ansonia. It's at 73rd and Broadway, and like all the exteriors and all of the stairways and hallways and stuff like that, they shot that in the actual building. I think the inside of the apartment was maybe a set, but all of that. And here is something I did not know when I first saw this movie: the cinematographer on this was Luciano Tivoli, who did the original fucking Suspiria, the Dario Argento movie. Isn't that fucking crazy? I'm like, among other things. But yeah, so that's why this movie looks so fucking cool. It's that same guy. So, you know, it doesn't have like a Giallo look to it, but yeah, the funny thing about them going to that goth club, it's not really a goth club. It's kind of more like a fetish club or something like that. And it's just kind of so, I don't know, we kind of laughed like when he went down in there and they were like all those people going and watching. They don't show like what the people are looking at, but whatever. I am going to say though that I had forgotten how much of a twat Bridget Fonda's character was in this. Like, I feel like for the first 20-30 minutes of the movie, I'm kind of more Team Hetty, gonna say. Well, until Hetty kicks the puppy. Like, before she even kills the puppy, because she kicks the puppy first. Like, she didn't really kick him. She just kind of shoves him away with her foot, like, really mean. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't like you anymore. But here's the thing. Bridget Fonda's character, she's kind of like this perfect New York woman, right? She's like super beautiful. She's super stylish. She's got this boyfriend who, I mean, he turns out to be a shit, but whatever. And then she has this gorgeous apartment. She's runs her own company. She's clearly has money and everything like that. And so, you know, her boyfriend sleeps with his ex-wife, so she kicks his stupid ass out.
He wasn't a shit. He was a good guy. It's just,
he was not.
He was just torn between his girlfriend and his ex-wife. Right,
he was not a good guy. Because one of the things that bothered me the most about it was that after, well, one, he slept with his ex-wife and didn't say anything about it. She only found out because it was like on the phone message or something. Yeah. And she's like, oh, so you weren't even going to tell me and stuff like that.
Yeah, he fucked
up. But then she was just like, yeah, get the fuck out. Which, like I said, understandable.
But she took his ass
But then...
back.
Well, no, but I mean, what I was going to say is that after that, she was like, yeah, I don't want to see you again. And then he kept coming over. Like, he kept calling, and I'd be like, stalker behavior. Like, you have to talk to me. I'm like, no, I actually don't.
He loved her. He wanted to come back.
But then, like, she, like a dumbass, like, she took him back, and, like, and here's the thing. But here's the thing that made me really mad was that like Hetty's character, she comes in, she's obviously got some mental issues, okay.
Yeah.
But she was nice at the beginning, and she kind of, to be fair, approached Allie is Bridget Fonda's character's name. She kind of approached her when Allie was like at a low ebb, you know what I mean? She just kicked her boyfriend out, she was upset about it, blah blah, and all this other stuff. So there was kind of like some weird trauma bonding going on there, I guess. So she kind of got her at a moment. But they kind of like hung out. They seemed like they're friends and everything. And she's like, okay, you can move in. And Hetty asked her specifically, now, if I move in, you're not going to, like, a week from now get back with your dumbass boyfriend and kick me out, right? No, that's never going to happen. What exactly happened?
That.
Like, literally, immediately.
Well, you can see that.
Immediately.
You can see that a mile away.
I mean.
If Hetty wasn't there, they'd have gotten back together.
I mean.
Yeah, that's how it
But I'm just saying that, from my point of view, like what Allie did, I'm not saying like what Hetty did was obviously not, because she just went way off the deep end. But Allie was kind of a dick at first, because she specifically said that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but
you move in, move all your shit in. It's
women get all principled and shit.
And it's a big thing, but it's just kind of like
she was going to take his ass back.
Why? It was Steven Weber who was in the Shining TV series. That was terrible.
That's actually what women do.
Steven Weber.
That's typical female
I wouldn't do that.
That's typical female behavior. I said typical female. There's nothing typical about you.
No kidding.
All right, so everybody knows that.
I'm like, I kick you out. You're out. You're not coming back.
That's what would happen. You know, and I didn't think he wasn't a bad guy. He just fucked up, man. He fucked up. He got back with his ex-wife for a second.
For a second,
yeah.
But you know what I love?
She don't know what happened to the dude, though. You had I'm male sympathetic.
He said she must accidentally. He used the word accidentally.
Yeah, he accidentally fucked her.
He accidentally fucked his ex-wife.
You're walking.
How does that happen?
You're walking.
I love it.
And
I love
you fall.
That's what, and I said that. Like, we had a good time watching this movie because it's so trashy, but it's like but in a good way. Like I love these kind of like really trashy.
Right.
Yeah, I love this kind of shit.
Every dude knows what I'm talking about.
But it's just, it's so funny that I was like,
accidentally fucked his ex-wife.
Did he actually use the word accidentally? I'm like, did he fall on her and his dick accidentally went into her vagina?
It's
how do you accidentally fuck somebody?
Accidentally fall and end up with a shampoo bottle up their booty.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was.
The story always starts off with, I was walking.
Yeah.
Or I was on a ladder.
I was just walking. Like, the ladder. That was
ladder. Yeah. You can say some shit like that. We don't know what happened. Okay, they never told us what happened. Could have been that he went over there to go fucking see her for some. There was a reason why he went over there. I don't remember. He had a legitimate reason. She must have laid it on thick, and for a minute he decided he was going to go back with her. But then he goes, "No, I can't do it." You know, there's a reason why I left her. You know what I mean? He got reminded.
And then accidentally, his dick was like, woo.
Yeah.
Accidentally. He's like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, it's not like he did it out of curiosity. It was his ex-wife. He knows her.
Right. That's what I mean. So
she'd already run through his ass. So it's
right.
not. So it's not like fucking. He's screwing a new chick or anything. He's screwing an old one for a second, and he shook it off. He's like. She might have put a spell on him. You know how the women do that. You know what I mean? She put a fucking spell on you, you know, and you're like, okay. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Because what ends up happening is he keeps fighting to get back to her. You know, I love you. It was an accident. You know, that kind of shit. And he ends up dying.
I don't buy that.
He ends up dying for her.
Well.
He went in there to save her. He knew what was going on. Fucking. He
did not. He was in. He
got killed.
But he didn't die for her. He was in a fucking hotel room. He was gone most of the time.
Now
he was on a business trip. And then he came back and he was staying in the hotel or the apartment.
Her,
yeah. And then she just and then Hetty was like pretended to be
that's right.
her, and then went in there and started sucking his dick. And that's another thing. He didn't stop her. Like he totally like jizzed in her mouth.
It was. He didn't know it was her.
He did before. Then though,
I don't think he knew.
He did.
Well,
she looked up and he looked right at her face.
Well, here's another thing though: is she played into his weakness because he wanted his Bridget Fonda.
Well,
back.
yeah.
And some chick shows up, looks just like her.
Well, no, they had already gotten back together by this point.
Yeah, that's right. She was trying to break them back apart. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. But it was too late.
Because remember they got engaged.
It was too late. She was already blowing him when he realized it. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to fuck either way because she's going to tell on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Well, she would have, but then she ended up killing him with the stiletto, which is my favorite.
Yeah, that's right.
My favorite scene in the whole movie. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of good scenes in this. I also really like where Bridget Fonda punches her boss in the dick.
Dude died because of these crazy ass bitches. All right? He's just trying to do what guys do, you know what I mean? And they're fucking playing games with him, you know? One kick, his ex-wife fucking fucked him over, and then his new girlfriend fucked him over, and the girlfriend of his new girlfriend fucked him over. The dude was a victim.
He was not a victim.
Fucking, he died. They killed him.
He was a victim at the end.
He was a victim, yeah.
But he wasn't a victim before.
If he had just preyed upon his masculine
if he
weaknesses.
had just stayed gone,
yeah,
then none of this would have happened.
Those crazy hot ass bitches played on his masculine weaknesses.
The whole reason that Hetty started losing her shit was because the two of them got back together and she was getting kicked out and she was losing her quote unquote best friend. Like I said, Hetty was, I don't want to say she was a crazy person. She obviously had she's been diagnosed like later on. I can't remember what she's been diagnosed with, but it's something. And so she clearly had some issues. Yeah. But I feel like she might have been okay for a little while if, you know, Bridget Fonda and her had just been friends and, like, the dude wouldn't have been involved. Like I said, if he hadn't been so aggressive in trying to get back in, and then Bridget Fonda's like, oh, okay, I'll take your dumb ass back. And
so
then
now you're man-blaming. You're victim.
No, I'm just saying that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't come back. That's
so
all
him coming back caused all the trouble?
No, well, I'm just saying that's what set her off.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. I'm just going to go ahead and say the dude wasn't that bad. He just got caught up in his...
He was kind of a douche, honestly.
He just got... Yeah. You know, he was... You know.
I thought he was kind of a douche.
Yeah, kind of. He was a normie.
Yeah, he was...
But, you know...
Like I said, a douche.
he didn't have much guile. He was a victim of these women.
He's not a victim.
He's a grown-ass man. His ex-wife had fucked him over.
We never say we never see his ex-wife. We only hear her voice on the phone one time.
She put the moves on him and fucked his shit up with his new girlfriend.
Well, he didn't have to fuck her.
She probably did.
It was an accident.
You don't know what happened. Some of these women have powers. They have strange fucking powers over these men. He loved her.
One person who was a shit heel in this was the client. Guy.
Yeah, that dude was bad.
Holy crap, that dude was like
he was giving Bridget Fonda all this business. She was making a career off of him, or at least contracts. She basically does kind of what Jen does in a way.
It was like, well, it was like she was a software developer.
Yeah, and she was doing graphic design and stuff.
Like it was, well, she had devised a software that would allow you to do all this stuff with like fashion, like put clothes on people. Like which was a big deal.
And
back
what was
in the
cool
90s.
is she was doing it through a laptop from home. And this is back in the early 90s. That was very way ahead of her time. But they had predicted fucking working from home.
Yeah.
Which
well, and the thing about it too is I kind of feel like this happens in a lot of thrillers and also in a lot of rom-coms is they always give the protagonist jobs that mean they're at home a lot.
Yeah, and they make a shit ton of money. That way the fucking sets look fucking gorgeous. Right. They're always in a glamorous place.
Because honestly, this apartment she lived in, they do explain that there's a scene where she's with this douchebag client of hers that later ends up like sexually assaulting her. Is where she says, or he says he found out some shit about her past or whatever. And it's like her and this other woman had a partnership and they had built the business together. And then they had a falling out. And I guess they had owned this apartment together, like they worked out of it. And so she ended up getting it in the settlement. But it's rent controlled. Yeah. They never say how much the rent is. Like nowadays, an apartment that fucking size.
$1.5 million.
On the Upper West Side.
Yeah, $1.5 million.
Holy crap, easily.
$1.5 million.
It's a massive apartment. It's really nice. I mean, the building is old. It's a real building.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
It was a pretty big apartment for New York. Actually, it was a giant apartment for New York.
Yeah, it was huge. Like I said, I think the apartments... I don't think the apartments in that actual building are that big.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been in there, but yeah, because the insides of the apartments I think were sets, but all of the other stuff like that was filmed around the building, that was the actual
but her
building.
client was throwing all this money her way, and he was making money off of his shit,
and saying, "Oh, I'm going to give you all these contacts, like all these."
Yeah, and he was kind of behind in his payments too. He owed her a bunch of money for contract work that she had done for him, and of course, you know, she shows up to get paid. and he's got the shit fucking set out like it's a fucking romantic dinner. And shit, he's coming up behind her and rubbing on her shoulder and rolls her around and fucking zips his fly down. And she pretends like she's going to go down on him, and then she jumps up. She fucking does something. She stuck something in his fucking nuts, and she ran out of there. He's like, what the fuck? And then later on, you see that same dude, and he's in his place of business. He's got all these other young women in there working for him. And he's giving them back rubs and shit.
Yeah, he's a total creep.
So he's got a whole harem of them.
And that dude, I mean, that dude's in a million movies.
He was a scumbag.
He's in a million movies. But yeah, he's a total scumbag. And then I had forgotten, like, toward the end, when Jennifer Jason Leigh, when Hetty, like, kind of kidnaps her and takes her up to Graham's apartment and, like, ties her up and everything like that. And it so happens that the shitbag client comes up there looking for her because she had installed this failsafe in the software that if she didn't get paid, it starts erasing everything, which I was like, that was a pretty smart thing to do. But so he's coming up there to, like, bitch at her. And he actually, for a second, you think that he's going to save her. And I was like, please don't make that dude be, like, the hero. That would really suck. And then, like, Bridget Fonda's, like, on the ground, and she's all fucking tied up with, like, duct tape and shit like that. And he, like, gets on her. And for a second, like, the way that he's straddling her, I was like, what, is he going to rape her now that she's, like, helpless and she can't move? That's what it looked like. And then I was kind of happy when Hetty came up behind him and, like, walked him in the fucking head. I guess she killed him. I mean, no big loss, that guy, for real. But, you know what I mean? It's like, no one's gonna miss that dude. But, yeah. So, I don't know. But, what was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, I know. I mean, somebody was saying, okay, so Winterfell Forever says, the women's relationship was also kind of toxic. Yeah, definitely. Sort of codependent. Not a real friendship, I think. Friends with mental issues need to improve on their own with professional help. Yeah, now, one thing that I will say is that when Hetty's kind of mental illness issues started to come to the fore. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about how sort of cunty Allie was at first, was she also, like, literally, like, a day or two after Hetty moved in, she was, like, in her room, like, snooping through her shit. Mm-hmm. Like, looking at her medication and stuff. I'm like, who does that? Like, stop it. Like, I know it's her apartment and everything, but geez. Like, don't go through other people's shit. That's not cool. So I was like, again, that's kind of shitty. But yeah, so the thing about it, and I was reading an essay, because there's a surprisingly lot of essays about this movie. And that one
it's funny that there's a lot of essays about this movie.
Well, it's kind of a cult film now.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people
really, it's a good quality film.
Analyze it.
But this is like one of a group of films that were kind of like this.
There were a bunch out. This is one of the better ones, I will say, because there were a lot that came out that were just kind of not that great. Like, because there was a lot of these kind of movies. Like, in the 90s, it was kind of a big thing, like the erotic thriller thing.
Most of them were bad.
And most of them were just kind of like shit, or just, not that great. But this one...
Yeah.
I think this one is kind of elevated. It's trashy, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's something about it that I think, like, elevates it above the other ones. I don't know if it's just, like, the acting performances or the cinematography is really nice. Like, it's really entertaining.
It's the visuality of the movie. It's pretty visual. And it's got real good looking girls in it. They act
and the acting is good. Yeah, like Jennifer Jason.
And they're showing them nude. They knew how to get asses in seats back then.
Yeah,
they're showing them nude. They're letting you see it.
Yeah, like I said, I forgot how much nudity
and it was kind of like a chick flick, but it was a chick flick that guys would go see and shit too. So like, yeah, check her out. Turn around, babe. Oh yeah, they gave us the back shot. Okay. You know what I mean? So, no, I mean,
you get to see Steven Weber's ass, too, if that's something that you're into.
You get to see Bridget Fonda's
you can't really see his penis.
From the back, nude, walking into the, and she's fucking doing nice poses and shit. And like I said to Jenna, says, yeah, she didn't work for that. That's just genetics and diet. She's just born like that. Because I didn't see any insertions or fucking striations or any sign that she was working out, or not working out by today's standards. That bitch probably did some jazzercise or something. Remember jazzercise?
Yeah.
Some aerobics, which actually those little aerobic exercises had no impact on the human body. It was just to sell VHS tapes. But no, that was just genes, man.
But yeah,
and both them girls are cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
I always liked Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah,
actually.
she's cute
Ever
too.
since I first saw her in Fast Times at Ridgemont High when she was
Bridget's
a
more
kid
kind
still.
of a tall, aquiline shape, and the other one was kind of short and curvy. Look good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I was saying before about like the essay is that they were because they were kind of coming at it from, is this, demonizing mental illness or demonizing lesbians or whatever, but they were like, not really, because they think that what ended up happening with this relationship with these two women was, I think I mentioned it before, was more like trauma bonding, because what happens is when Hetty first gets to the apartment, like after the ad runs, like Allie is there crying because of her stupid boyfriend, and then like, so they're just kind of like, hey, let's have some tea or whatever, and then Hetty shares that, oh, my sister, like I was supposed to be a twin, but my sister died in utero, which you later find out is a lie. Now, so somebody pointed out, Slasher Fred pointed out, that it could be that she was just trying to replace that twin, which is why she wanted to be like her.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing, though. There are people that think this is an anti-lesbian movie. I fucking laugh when I hear shit like that. It just goes to show you that people either like to grift and get attention by acting like they're important or have some, or it's bedwetting. A place of, there's just a bunch of bedwetters running around anywhere. Let me ask you this: is Dune, does Vladimir Baron Harkonnen, is that anti-gay? No, he's just an evil motherfucker. Yeah, he pulled the heart plug out of a little boy. He liked boys. He's not anti-gay. He was just an evil fucking dude. What else? Well, there's a lot of characters in stories like that. It's not a direct attack against anybody's sexuality. It's just fucking weird fucking characters.
Well, I think people said that specifically about this one just because there was a lot of movies in this era where if the woman was the killer, then she was like bi or lesbian, and like people thought like it was a little bit of a weird trend, and people were like Basic Instinct.
It just makes the character more interesting. In Road Warrior, Wes, the biker, had a boy on a chain, and he was the fucking one of the main villains. Is that anti-gay? No, he's just a fucking badass. He was like something out of a maximum security prison. If he liked you, you were a boy, he's gonna put you on a damn chain. It's not it's not an anti-gay thing. It just made him an interesting character. He's a threat. It increases the threat because straight dudes see that guy to go, I want to run across that dude. He'll put me on that fucking chain.
But yeah, I think, well, like I said, I kind of feel like the fact that they set up the twin thing, and I don't know, because, okay, so toward the end of the movie, they imply that, because like I said, Hetty said that her twin died when she was, like, before she was born, but that wasn't true. She actually died when they were 9, and she drowned. Now, they say later, they imply that Hetty maybe had survivor's guilt, but I thought the deeper implication was that Hetty had maybe killed her, had maybe drowned her, because she makes like an offhand comment at some point. It's like one is always prettier than the other one, and then, the one that's not has to do all the work or something like that. So she would make these little comments that made me think that she maybe killed her sister, but that maybe her parents didn't believe that she had, because her parents were still trying to find her and get her psychological help and stuff. But she had run away from them because she didn't want to go back to the hospital where they were keeping her. Like, you find that out later on. But I kind of read it as I think she maybe killed her sister. So I kind of feel like it's more like the relationship between them is more resonant. Like I said, there is a sexual component to it because there's shit like, there's a scene where after, Bridget Fonda, starts snooping around in her room, and then Hetty comes in there, and she just, takes her shirt off and, starts putting her pajamas on or something like that. And, Bridget Fonda is, clearly very uncomfortable. She's like, bitch, I hardly know you. What are you doing? And stuff like that. But she's just all, whatever, you know what I mean? So she's getting real, close to her, before Bridget Fonda is really ready for that, I guess, because they've just met, and she thinks that's, a little weird or, off-putting. But there's also kind of a thing where I feel like Hetty is just trying to kind of, I don't know, just take over her identity or, usurp her in a way. Because remember, there's a scene later, a little bit later on, where what's the boyfriend's name? Sam. When he's over at the apartment and like him and Allie have just fucked or whatever, and then Allie goes to the bathroom, and then Hetty like takes the opportunity to go kind of stand in the bedroom, you know, in the bedroom door frame, being like, "Hey, what's up? I know you guys are in postcoital bliss or whatever, but she's in the bathroom, so what's up?" Like, she kind of be like flirty and stuff. So I don't know. So there's kind of a thing. It's more like a sisterly thing, I feel like. Didn't she
also kind of creep in there and watch Hetty fucking rubbing one out?
See, okay, now that's another thing. Because it was almost kind of like, I don't want to say it wasn't mutual, but there was like a weird thing where after they had like fucked in the apartment, like Allie and her boyfriend, and then she went out. Now, I think she initially went out to get the dog because the dog was making noise or some shit like that. And so she picks up the dog, and then she goes and looks in Hetty's room, and Hetty's like rubbing one out
with the door open,
and she just like stands there and watches her for a couple of minutes. I'm like, that's a little weird.
Yeah, she might have been a little bit fascinated.
She only stopped because the dog made a noise, and she was like, "Oh shit, maybe I'm busted." You know what I mean?
Maybe she was curious. The Phantom brings up a good.
Oh, and I wanted to mention too that because I was gonna mention this, and I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah. Slasher Fred said, "I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a movie in the 2000s. Yeah, I think it was 2011 or something. That was called The Roommate." That was pretty much a remake of this, even though they don't call it a remake of this. And I'm like, I feel like I haven't seen it, but I read a synopsis. I'm like, somebody should sue either the book author or the people who made this movie, because it's like exactly the same.
The only movie recently that I saw that was kind of like a 90s movie that we saw in the theater that stuck out was The Intruder with fucking, what is it, Douglas Quaid? Is that guy's name?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. That was like a 90s movie. It was kind of like, what was the one where you had the dude that fucking moved in Pacific Heights? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I want to do that one too. That had Michael Keaton in it. I'm kind of in the mood for like some 90s fucking slasher thriller things.
The Phantom brought up a good point. I didn't really consider that. Was the gay guy listening to them through the fucking vents?
Well, he said later. And, like, I kind of feel like I was watching I was watching these two guys talk about this movie, these two gay guys. And it was like an hour and a half, and they were talking about this movie. And the one guy said, you know, if my best friend lived upstairs and you could hear everything from my apartment, like, through the vent, I think I would have told her before then. Because, like, how long has he lived up there?
Yeah.
And, like, how long has this... Oh, by the way, I can hear y'all fucking every single time. Yeah. Like, that would be super embarrassing. Yeah. But it's just kind of like...
I'll say some wild shit.
That's what I mean. I would be horrified. I mean, we don't live in an apartment. But if we did... And we had to
say some wild ass.
That's
shit.
What I mean. So it's like if we had if we had somebody that lived upstairs, and like they came out and said, "By the way, we can hear every fucking word," I'd be like, I would be super embarrassed. Well, I don't think I'd be that embarrassed, but it'd be.
Well, we got videos of that.
It'd be kind of embarrassing. But so I just thought that was kind of fun. I mean, and it's kind of like plays into the plot a lot that there's this. Because I think that's in like a lot of thrillers where there's like these old buildings that have this weird acoustics and whatever, and like he can hear all the shit that's going on in the apartment, like when it's convenient. I kind of feel like there's sometimes when somebody should have been able to hear it and nobody could. Yeah. But the fact that he waited so long to tell her, it was like near the end of the movie before he said, "Hey, by the way, like I can hear everything in the apartment," and because it was like important later on. But yeah,
it's a pretty tight flick. It's not my favorite Bridget Fonda movie though. My favorite Bridget Fonda movie was that La Femme Nikita one. I don't think that's what they called it.
Point of No Return.
Point of No Return, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
She was in Jackie Brown too, as somebody pointed out. The Quentin Tarantino.
I need to see that one again. I loved that movie. I rented it all the time.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, it was like a spy movie. They turned her into a fucking basically sex operative agent. You know, and it was based on a French one, a French book, I think. And I think it might have been La Femme Nikita, huh?
Yeah. Well, that was a French movie. But Phantom says if you pause it right, you can see his dingling. Okay. Well,
y'all pausing it to see the man's junk. Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty. I didn't pause it obviously because I don't really care about seeing Steven Weber's dick, but
I like the dude. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm never forgiving him for that Shining thing. But
Stop it.
I'm just kidding. But I'm sure he's a nice person. But yeah, it seemed like you couldn't really see anything, but it was very suggestive, like the way that, because Jennifer Jason's Lee's face comes up, and you could tell she's got kind of a load in her mouth, a little bit, but it's tasteful, but you can still tell what's going on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you can't. I don't know. You couldn't unless
you tell there's a load in her mouth.
I mean, she just kind of comes up like there's something in her, like kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like
savoring the last drop.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, he came really quick. He must have had a boner while he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Because man, she just jumped right on there, and did that, and he was like, "Oh, all right." And then he woke, and then she looked up, and he saw her face, and he was like, "Oh no!" And then he was just like, "Oh shit!" You know what I mean? And then
that would take me forever.
Well, see, that's what I was thinking, but it's just he must have been. Maybe he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was real life, that scene would be 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Okay, can we move on? This isn't a porno." But yeah, that's it's just funny the way I don't know, the way that they
getting all this kind of money. Okay.
Huh?
Getting money.
Are we getting money?
Getting money, yeah.
Money.
Who is it? I can't read it.
Thank you very much, Zach.
Oh, Zach. Yeah, what's up, Zach?
Said, I haven't heard the neighbors upstairs fuck yet. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But I think they're the kind of people who move furniture when they're stressed. Lots of dragging noises all night, every night. They might be murdering people up there. You don't know. Well, when I used to live in an apartment over in Winter Park, before me and Tom moved in together, I swear to God, I don't know if the people upstairs was a family of hippos or if they were moving furniture. I don't know what the fuck they were doing up there. If they were dragging bodies around, it was so loud. I don't know what they were doing. But I've never lived in an apartment where I could hear people fuck from next door, thankfully. You know. Yeah, Phantom said Hetty had better head game than Allie. Yeah, we were making jokes about that. He was like, "Wow, you've gotten really good at this." Because it was
I was making jokes.
It was a different shit.
It's damn, you good. Where did this come from? Hold on, oh shit. Well, okay.
It was basically.
Okay.
It was basically.
Right.
He was mad after.
I'm just gonna let it roll. Hold on, just give me that pillow. Give me a pillow. Put the pillow behind your head.
He was mad afterward, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he said some pretty shitty. I mean, like I said, that was a shitty thing for her to do. Obviously, pretending to be Allie. Well, and the thing about it was that
I didn't buy it because I would say no. You can detect a woman just by her fucking bodily presence, her size, her fucking weight. You know what I mean? If you there's nobody gonna fucking make me think that it's Jen climbing into bed with me.
Even if it looked just like me.
Even if it was a similar weight, there's something about body language and everything that I'm real astute about that. I'm real sensitive. Smell too. I know her. The fragrances she wears and shit. And fucking, no.
Although they said that she had the same perfume on. He did mention that she had the same perfume on.
Yeah, but women just don't move the same way.
No, they don't.
No, they're
yeah, that's the thing. I don't
even
really
they don't
think
walk the same way. You can identify a person by gait. Computers can do it.
I'd be kind of interested to know if, I'm not gonna do this experiment, but it's if I was just laying in bed in the dark one day and they had different dudes.
Yeah.
And I didn't look.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'd know which one was you.
You'd know, probably.
I mean, I'm 99% sure I would know.
Because the weight and the density and the size would have to be exactly the same.
And like I said, just
language.
the way you move, the way you smell, the way your breathing sounds, everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's stuff you don't really register on a conscious level most of the time, but when it's different, you're like, hey, who the fuck's that? You know what I mean? Because I've seen you just across something, or if I'm waiting for you and you're coming out of a bathroom or something like that, and I can tell it's you from way far away just because of the way you walk.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have AI programs that can fucking ID people just through gait. You can it's like a fingerprint. No one actually walks exactly the same way.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably know it was me immediately because I'd trip over 5 things and shit like that. I usually run into the wall, you know.
Jen kind of has a robotic walk.
I never thought of it like that.
She's like a machine.
I'm just walking like a person.
Boom, boom, boom,
it's not that. It's I walk with purpose.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
I don't amble.
Yeah.
I have shit to do.
Yeah.
I think it's just that. But I didn't realize it looked weird until you said something about it. Now I'm self-conscious about it. Because I'm what? I just have shit to do. I don't have time for this fucking nonsense to wander around, you know what I mean? I got fucking...
Well, partially growing up in Brazil, Brazilian guys say the same thing, that American women don't know how to walk. And if you come up in Brazil or in Central and South America, their walk is extremely gendered. They walk like supermodels. They swing their feet around. There's a lot of fucking hip shaking and called hebulando. You know what I mean? They're fucking moving the ass. They move like fishing lures. Okay, that's exactly the way they move. They're just calling attention in the way that they walk.
Sorry, I just had a very funny mental image of a woman walking around with a bunch of fishing lures.
They move like a fishing lure. They're
like all sparkly.
Yeah, and it's just a thing of Latin cultures like that, and they highly gendered, and they start that at a young age because Brazilian girls have purses and high heels and shit at 6. They do makeup at that age. You know, they walk around like that. They emulate older girls. So they, that was strange for us, even in me living there, even in the 80s. You know what I mean? We're like, you know, they let little girls dress like that because they wear tanga, which is thongs. When they go to the beach, you know what I mean? Fio dental, dental floss. It's just a thong, and the tops that they wear would be just something to cover the nipple and a bunch of fucking dental floss holding it together. And that was in the 80s.
I always feel like you might as well just not wear anything, honestly.
Yeah, it's nudity.
Because it's like really, basically, it's really uncomfortable having like all these little strings like going up your ass and all that shit all the time. Might as well just be nudity. Naked.
Well, that was the traditional Brazilian bikini, because that's what the Indians wore. That's some shit from the Xingu wearing that shit. They wore that forever. That's not new.
Can we talk about how funny it is that this movie is called Single White Female?
It's weird. Well, why is it called that?
Well, because the book was called Single White Female Seeks Same.
Okay.
And it's funny because no one, I guess this is kind of sad, but it's like no one really thought about it in the 90s, is that when you put a personal ad or any kind of ad for a roommate or anything like that, like I guess people did like say about race, and they would prefer like a person, and like nobody really thought about it.
No.
And like, yeah, and like, so nobody complained about the title of this at the time.
Yeah. Which
just goes to show that it was just like a thing that was done.
No.
And it's just kind of funny that that Allie would just be like, well, I definitely just want a white person like living in this apartment.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Which is like super funny.
In the you know, everybody was kind of like self-segregating.
Yeah, it seems like I said, it seemed like no one really batted an eye at it in 1992 when this came out. I think the book came out 2 years before this. So I think the book came out in 1990.
But also to not do that assumes that black people want to hang around white people. They don't. Black people like other black people.
I kind of could see it more, like not so much nowadays, but like back then, I could kind of see it more in like personal ads.
Yeah, that's
but
what
like just somebody for a random, like a roommate or something like that, it seemed like it wouldn't matter.
It was straight for the cultural stuff.
But yeah,
it was like saying age, sex, location in fucking chat rooms back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You were putting your scent mark on it. This is who I am. I'm looking for somebody who's like me. We'll live together. That's all it was.
Yeah, I guess she was just looking for somebody that was also like.
Yeah.
Which actually kind of gives the story a little bit more resonance. Looking for somebody like her, like a white female professional.
Right.
Which Hetty wasn't really. She just worked in a bookstore. I think they showed her at work like one time, but I mean, she did have a job, but she wasn't like a professional, I guess, unless she managed the shit. She seemed like she just worked at a bookstore. Yeah. I don't really know. Which you wouldn't be able to afford an apartment in New York just working in a bookstore. Like, not even back then. That's just not how that works, especially one that size. But like I said, I don't know what the rent was on that fucking shit, because it was huge. But yeah, so CB said one of my friends that goes to the fetish bar had a woman do shit like this bitch did in the film and got a restraining order. Like what specifically? Impersonating somebody else? Well, that's sexual assault. Because you're getting sex under false pretenses, you can still get arrested for that. You know what I mean? If that's what you're talking about.
No. He's saying that some girl or something was impersonating another girl and getting sex.
That's what I just said.
No, another girl can dress up as Jen and look just like you and you can't charge her.
Well, no. I'm just saying that if you're dressing up as someone else with the express purpose of sleeping with a particular person that thinks you're the other person.
That's not what she was doing, though.
Then, right. Well, somebody thought something about it because they said they got a restraining order on her, so I don't really know.
No, it was probably a stalking thing.
But yeah, how weird would it be to like
identity theft thing?
I mean, the fucking scene in this where they go to the salon, and they supposedly both go to the salon, but like Allison or Allie is there, and they don't do anything to her fucking hair. Yeah. She's like in the chair, and it looks exactly the same. But then that like Jennifer Jason Leigh comes down with that stupid mushroom haircut.
Yeah,
and that looks exactly the same. And I love that Allie just looks at her and is like, "You have got to be kidding me!" Almost like the dude in The Thing that goes, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" It's almost in that same tone of voice, which I kind of love. I don't know if it was a reference.
But no, you have a right to dress however you want. And
I'm not saying that.
And you can call yourself whoever you want.
Oh yeah, I know.
In a social situation, it's not like you're buying a house under a false ID or anything. But that's what she was doing is she looked so much like the other girl. That other girl was going, "Hey man, you're ruining my reputation. People might think that you're me."
Yeah, because she went to the fetish bar and introduced herself to random people as Allie.
Yeah, but those people didn't know who Allie was.
She went and killed the boyfriend, and then the guy at the hotel was like, "Oh, bye, Miss Jones," thinking it was her.
But the dudes at the club didn't know who Allie was.
No,
it's just that if Allie went there, they might be confused between.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, you're that chick that was here the other day." And it seemed like that's what she was trying to do. She was kind of trying to
make you a hoe.
Yeah, like she was basically trying to take over her identity, but like kind of hijack it in a way.
Yeah, go out and fucking live out all her desires under kind of like an assumed identity. I'm gonna fuck all these dudes, pretending to be kind of like this other chick.
Pretending to be her.
Yeah.
And then like later on, those dudes will see her and be like, "Hey," and she'll be like, "Who the fuck are you?" You know what I mean? Yeah. But I wonder though if like Hetty, did she actually mean to? To me, it seemed like she was, like, so fucked up and, like, so mentally ill that she just wanted to be her. You know what I mean? I don't know.
She was jealous of her, don't you remember?
Yeah, that's what I mean. She just wanted to be her because she used to say stuff about,
she wanted to be her and abuse it and have all the fucking perks.
Yeah. I think maybe, like, deep down she thought that, that Allie, like, had everything and didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like she was kind of resentful. It seemed like some of the conversations that they had like struck me.
Yeah, it was kind of like she was kind of unjustly worried about it because when she had that haircut on and everything and the fucking that makeup, she looked just like her. It didn't matter. She was just a little bit shorter. Fucking out of the two, I probably would have picked the shorter one.
I was always kind of more.
I didn't know who they were, but just something.
I was always kind of more into Jennifer Jason Leigh. She always seemed like more interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just for me, my manlet ass, I'm gonna be fucking more interested in the shorter one actually.
Yeah. She's kind of crazy in this movie, but I mean, I'm sure she's living nice in real life. And I've seen her in recent shit, man. Wasn't she in? What was that Brandon Cronenberg movie? It wasn't Infinity Pool. It was the one Possessor. Wasn't she in Possessor?
I don't know.
Like, wasn't she like the overseer person that was
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, like the Brandon Cronenberg. Yeah, we both saw it like not too long ago.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was in that. But she's been in a bunch of shit. Yeah, CB said she pretended to be her and had sex with everyone and stalked her for months or something like that.
Well,
yeah, see, that's
they didn't show it in the movie of her having sex with everybody. She was flirting with everybody.
Yeah, there was just one like short scene in that club, and they just showed her talking to somebody at the bar. And the guy at the bar kind of looked like the boyfriend, looked like Sam. Yeah. It wasn't him, but he was supposed to look like him, I guess.
Yeah, and it tracks. I mean, statistically, shorter women have a wider appeal because they're more appealing to a wider range of guys. Tall women kind of price themselves out of the market. Only tall guys really kind of eligible. They usually don't really prefer to date downward vertically. In other words, they don't like to date shorter guys. Sometimes they end up being forced to date shorter guys though, because the taller guys are dating short girls. It's just all statistics. I've seen the data on it. 'Cause I'm a short motherfucker. I've dated tall girls. Over 6 feet. Man, and I'll tell you what, when you know women that are 6 foot and taller, it's rough for them, man. Fucking, they got it harder than short guys.
Oh, they absolutely do. I've had a lot of friends, like women that were over 6 feet tall, and they have a fucking hell of a time.
And it's a shame, they're good women, but if they're tall and beautiful, they're fucked.
Pretty much.
Fucked. They're gonna have to fucking swallow it and fucking date short guys. It's because the tall guys aren't really interested. They're dating the average size woman.
Yeah.
Because there's more variety. There's more of them.
Yeah.
There are not very many women that tall. It's just the chances of it working out and everything lining up slim. Not to say they're ugly; they're beautiful. It's just,
But they have a hard time.
They have a hard time.
I said, a lot of dudes won't go out with a woman that's taller than they are.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I mean, I'm 5'6". I've dated a lot of women that were taller than me. Starting off at high school, it never really bothered me. I just felt like, okay, yeah, I'm like a big game hunter.
Yeah, honestly, like I know some people like are really like worried about height. I guess it's kind of but I never thought about it really. I mean, I'm only 5'3", so it's like most people are taller than me, but it's not really something that I looked for, and not really something that I worried about ever.
Only thing odd about real tall women is that from the point of view of a short guy, their feet look big, man. They look fucking huge. You're looking at their fucking shoe.
Well, yeah.
God damn, look at the shoe. Yeah.
Well, you need like support for all the height. I mean,
it's like a man's shoe,
Yeah, well, I'm a short motherfucker, so I got little bitty feet.
Yeah, she got little bitty feet.
But yeah, I was gonna say, I think somebody mentioned earlier, there was actually a direct-to-video sequel to this movie.
Yeah, really?
But yeah,
direct-to-video sequel.
I've heard it was terrible. I haven't seen it. It was basically called Single White Female: The Psycho. I was like, that's so.
Oh yeah.
But
sounds like somebody trying to cash in.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody was the same in it. I don't even
probably didn't cash in.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually know that there was a sequel to this until I started researching this movie, so it couldn't have been that famous because I think it was just like a bunch of no-name actors. Maybe it was somebody that got famous later, but I don't even know what the plot was. It might have just been the same. But I don't know. There's just something about, like I said, I really kind of like these 90s stalker thrillers, like erotic thrillers, because there was a bunch of them that came out around this time. And honestly, I kind of feel like this is one of the better ones. You know what I mean? The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is probably a better movie, objectively. Well, at least in my opinion. I think The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is a better movie. But I don't know. This one's up there. I really, really like this one. I think there's like a really good interplay between Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think they're really good in this, and I think like the acting performances are really good, and it's like a nice looking movie. Like visually, it's a nice looking
and very
movie.
easy to watch.
Yeah, and it's really entertaining. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of trashy, but it's not so trashy that you're like, and there's some shit that's kind of ridiculous, but a lot of thrillers have that. So
it's very linear.
Yeah,
there's nothing
easy
artsy
to follow
fartsy about it.
Yeah,
it's just a fun movie to watch. You could understand this when you were drunk.
Yeah, we weren't drunk when we watched it, for the record, but we did have a lot of fun like watching it because like I said, I've seen it multiple times. I had forgotten about the doggy scene.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like a glorified Lifetime movie, really.
It is kind of. It is.
But it's still good.
And I kind of feel like this was really influential on a lot of those Lifetime movies.
You said the sequel was pure shit, not worth watching.
I heard it was pure shit. I probably would not even bother watching it. I mean, life's too short to like watch all these movies. All right, so I guess we're gonna wrap things up for the evening.
Yeah, you want some more of that pork? We got some pork tenderloin.
What kind of question is that? You want some more of that pork?
You want some of that pork?
He says.
Okay. I got some pork tenderloin down there.
No, it's actual pork tenderloin. It's not. It's not a double entendre. I mean, it could be a double entendre, maybe.
She wishes it was.
Oh, come on.
You got enough pork last night.
And yesterday morning.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I was tearing it up all day.
You were kind of. Well, it was Sunday. I mean, we just we didn't have anything.
Why is this shit always got to be sexual?
Because that's what makes it fun.
That's the fucking shows like that.
That's what makes it fun. You're the one that said you want some more of the pork.
Yeah,
so, you walked right into that. Yeah. I'm gonna blame it on you. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. So hopefully you guys had a good time. Thank you for super chats and everything like that. Hopefully you guys can come back on Wednesday night for the main show. We're doing another serial killer. We're doing Robert Ben Rhodes, the truck stop killer. Which, like Tom was thinking about him the other day.
Yeah.
And so I put it in the poll and it won. So, this fucking dirtbag. We're gonna talk about him on Wednesday. So that should be a good show. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. We'll see you guys again on Wednesday night.